Welcome in to another episode of Beyond the Game. And my tone is serious this time. I'm Giselle Espinales.
I'm Felipe Alvarez. It's finally over.
It's over. And you know what's over? That was finalized Monday night. The Dolphins have been eliminated from playoff contention. Felipe, another year, another playoff drought continues.
Some things never change, you know? I mean, they really edged us on this very, very, very long train of hope. But all it took was one loss for it to be over, and it was a catastrophic loss.
It wasn't even like where I thought they could be close. And you're right. There is belief. And I think when you have belief in the playoffs, because you never know, right? As you're leading into hopefully playoff aspirations, Felipe, I think with teams, you got to play to the very best because scenarios can happen. Look what happened to the Chiefs. They were eliminated. Then Patrick Mahomes got hurt. You have to make it healthy towards the last stretch, especially playing your best football in December when it counts. But for the Dolphins, that's slim hope. All they had to do, even with another scenario, was you had to win. In every scenario that was thrown in there, the last two, I don't even know what it was. It's like another team had to lose, whatever it was, but you still had to win.
It was nearly impossible, but yes, all you had to do was win.
That third quarter was atrocious.
The Dolphins had negative 20 yards of offense in that third quarter. It was the worst in the entire Mike McDaniel era. For a quarter.
But Felipe, when we think back of the body of work with these two teams, the Steelers, they were 7-6 going into this one. The Dolphins 6-7. The Steelers with their own playoff hopes, they came ready to go. And look, it's hard playing in Pittsburgh. It's hard playing in that crowd. Absolutely. We know what the Dolphins are doing in cold weather, but to have the stat like that like say that one more time because it just doesn't even make sense. In what era?
Negative 20 yards of offense for the Dolphins in the third quarter, the worst quarter in the Mike McDaniel era for the Miami Dolphins, and a really, really ugly interception in the first half for Tua. It was just and the defense started off really, really strong.
That's the thing. I thought, when you go 3-0, 3-0, that last quarter, I'm like, look, 7-3 going into the locker room. The defense did as the best that they could, but when you don't have the offense rolling, I don't even know how to answer to that. It's kind of one of those things where it's like the defense has powered through. They were the ones that made the biggest difference in the big turnaround. Mm-hmm. But then you can't be on the field the whole game. The offense did nothing throughout that game. And in that third quarter, there was also former Dolphin on Dolphin crime.
Oh my gosh, that Jalen Ramsey play. I'm sure, everyone knows what we're talking about, but Jalen Ramsey just absolutely and Jonnu Smith scored a touchdown.
Yeah, well, first I want the trade package ended up doing their own thing.
Yes,
but the Jalen Ramsey, listen, he's a very interesting player. As someone who got to interview him a couple of times in that locker room, he has his ways of communicating things, and he knew already when coming into this game, it's another game. I know what Tua does. He's scared Tua. Like, I don't know what happened back there but Tua was scrambling all night. It felt like he had no other option. He couldn't see anything. It's like, how do you explain that? But then the Jonnu Smith touchdown.
Oh man. And didn't Minka get hurt?
He hopped off the field. Yes. He got up.
Not seriously hurt, but to add insult to injury, literally insult to injury.
But it was a sweet moment to have his former teammates. But Minka was one of the guys that's like, listen, I don't have any feelings towards playing my former team. It's a game that they must win. And now the Dolphins did not. 28-15, the final in that one. The Steelers keep on rolling, and the Dolphins, what's crazy, this isn't even like where last season or the seasons past where it's like that last game and you're like, oh, right. There's still 3 weeks left. Yeah. What do you do with 3 weeks, Felipe?
I guess play the games. All I know, I just want to say one more thing about the tonight's or the Dolphins Steelers game. A lot of people's fantasy football seasons were saved by those last two Darren Waller touchdowns,
which is so crazy that he had to. But then the 2-point conversions, the whole time I'm frustrated. I'm like, but to have Darren Waller, his own story through injury and everything, but whatever everybody had.
Because I turned off the game, but then I saw that he scored another touchdown. I was like, he just saved someone's fantasy season, 2 touchdowns. Hey, why not? I guess just
I can't.
pile on garbage time stats for the rest of the season for the Dolphins. That's what that is.
But we've talked about what this playoff drought would mean. I mean, we joked with your youthful age of the last time they won. So now it's a playoff game.
Yeah, 25 years it's been since the Dolphins have won a playoff game,
and it's going to keep on. The streak lives on, the drought. And at this point, you see this roster, they believe towards the end, but it's obviously not enough. And I think that's the most disappointing part of it, because a turnaround is always late season turnarounds. It gives everybody hope, the fan base hope. the glimmers of hope of like that last, what is it? The last 2%, the 1% chance.
Yeah, we had that. The Dolphins experienced that. The Tua's first year as a starter. Remember, they were 1-7, and then they became 7-7, and then they actually had a chance to make the playoffs. And it came down to the very last game of the season.
That was
in
a wild
Buffalo,
ride. Yep.
And they lost by 40 in that game. So again, this is just nothing new for Dolphins fans. Another season in the books, essentially. And like, yeah, I mean, I guess as a player, what?
I have a question for you as a fan, but as someone, as we start to like dissect these games, what do you do at quarterback? What do you do as head coach? Are there off-season answers? I know everybody starts to say like, get rid, like it's a package deal, Mike McDaniel. Till we read the comments, I see all the stuff that people are putting in like the Dolphins, in their YouTube channels, on socials. It's just so much more complicated than that. The money on the books with the Dolphins into Mike McDaniel, we've always heard things that like, look, Ross was going to see this through, but now it comes down to does this team play through those last 3 games and play for something, even if it's just pride at this point.
Well, I think where you start with what you do with Tua is what is Tua's trade value? When you talk about that, the size of that contract, and you talk about, what he has displayed for the rest of the NFL. And I really don't think he has much trade value. So I guess the Dolphins really have no choice but to keep him and I guess continue to build around, which we'll see where that goes.
I mean, even watching the game, that third quarter, that I was like, is this really happening? It's just, I mean, there was so much that fun season. I think it was 2023, right? With Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
And it was just like, whoa, like, look at what this offense can be. Obviously, this team was very injury prone and different things and scenarios. And as great as a turnaround is, sometimes it's just too late.
It was and again, we're speaking like the season is quite literally over, which it kind of is, but just another very forgettable season for the Dolphins. I think you can just kind of,
we ended with that's so Dolphins.
Forget about that ever happened. Exactly.
I mean, it wasn't a good night for the Miami Heat either, because now they lost their 5th straight. Niko Jovic had a crazy injury. He left, the stretcher came out, his right arm in an air cast. Mm-hmm. But besides that, I don't even understand what's going on. Like, what's happening, especially when they had so much time getting to this game, because the last game they played, we had talked about it, the quarterfinals lost to the Magic, now hosting the Raptors, 106-96 the final in that one. This Heat team, they're struggling.
Yeah, I think we need to start having a conversation about the rest of the league catching up to the Miami Heat, because we talked about it in the last episode at the Magic, they kind of played towards the Heat's pace, but we talk about how great of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. Is it time to adjust the offense again in the middle of the season? It might be.
Well, Tyler Hero was also out too, so it's like
that certainly doesn't help.
When it doesn't help. But how do you balance out playmakers? Like, how do you start to balance out an offense that was thriving so well? And, they start to catch up. Everyone's like, wait a second, this is what they're doing. But the big guys like, Khalil Ware showing promises. The thing is, they had the lead. There's back and forth, but then it just collapsed in the fourth quarter. And I feel like a lot of the time that we've seen that before in the past, when this team collapses in the fourth quarter, and you're just like, how did they blow a 20-point lead? How did they blow a 30-point lead? And now this is a 10-point loss with still a lot of questions of like, what's going on?
Raptors are a good team, though. You have to give him that. Brandon Ingram is a killer. He's having a career year.
28 points.
He has found a spot to really revitalize his career, because he kind of was stuck in New Orleans, and he's just been having an all-star caliber season right now with the Toronto Raptors. Like you said, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That's just as good as it gets. And honestly, it's just...
And he's leading that team. Fine. You give the Raptors their credit, but now 5 straight losses for the Heat. Who are they playing next? Let's see.
That's a great question. But what?
But is it health at this point? It's like, what, it's definitely frustration, because they had the practice time.
Yes.
Where they, we've talked about how crucial it is to get practice time during the season. It's always so hard. And Eric Spoelstra always says, anytime we could get an extra practice in to kind of work on the little things, that's what they preach these couple days that they head off from games, getting ready for this matchup, and it ends in a loss.
Right. 3-game road trip coming up for the Heat. They go to Brooklyn, then they go to Boston, then back to New York. Actually, they play the Knicks. But yeah, you talked about the fact that they had a break, because of the NBA Cup. They had some extra days off. Tough road trip coming up. I know the Nets are probably a beatable team, but then Celtics, Knicks back to back, and then home again against the Raptors. Tough stretch of games coming up for the Heat. But we talk about the NBA Cup. I think the NBA Cup is amazing.
Wait,
and I have
you're like a big believer of it.
I have a funny story because we had our holiday party.
we had a time at a holiday
we had
party.
we had our holiday company party, and I don't know if you noticed, but I hit the meanest Irish goodbye at that holiday party.
Okay, but we have to explain what an Irish goodbye is because I feel like some people might not know that.
Okay, well, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but an Irish goodbye is when you just
goodbye.
You just quietly excuse yourself from the party without saying bye to anyone, but your presence is just no longer there, and no one really notices at first. But then maybe he's like, "Oh,
I noticed when you left." I was so like, "Oh, okay,
okay, you ready?" I hit the meanest Irish goodbye at the holiday party, and here's why. I went to the bathroom. My friend texted me, "Hey, Spurs Thunder is close now. You need to watch this game."
Ball is life.
I opened the bathroom door, and right in front of me was the elevator door going to the lobby. I looked left, I looked right, I realized no one was looking at me, and I bolted to the lobby. And I called an Uber. And when I opened the Uber app, your driver is 1 minute away. I saw my Uber driver round into the valet parking lot, pick me up. I was at my friend's house in 5 minutes, and I watched an incredible basketball game because Spurs Thunder is the new rivalry in the NBA. Oh my gosh, the NBA Cup is amazing.
I mean,
I wish the Heat could participate in that. I wish they didn't lose to the Magic.
But to be honest, Wemby
is an anomaly.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's just so incredible to see, him come back finally. And
yeah,
I think they interviewed him on ESPN. I think it was Malika Andrews. It was like, who do you think the best? He's like, when I'm back out there, it's gonna be me. I think that's what he said. Like, besides like the top two, the other two, who was the other one? Nico Jokic, and then Shea. And then he's like, but I'm not back yet. I think that's GOAT status. I'm like, what?
What's crazy about Victor Wembanyama is we've heard the talk about the Thunder. Stephen A. Smith saying, "I'm scared about the Thunder. I think they might ruin the NBA with how good they are. They had that historic 24-1 start." Their weakness is Victor Wembanyama. Do you know how good you have to be a weakness for a team as good as the Thunder? It's unbelievable. Like,
what was the score in that one?
Watching him play, it was a 2-point win. I think they won by 2 points. It was an incredible basketball game.
You've been saying this. You know what's crazy? Like, you've been saying like the Thunder, and I'm like, yeah, we know.
But it's unprecedented. Like, they are a perfect basketball team, top to bottom. It's unbelievable. I always say that the NBA has never been this good ever, and I just want to
give young guys. But it goes back to, I know he's about to give before he gives his shout out. I know
I need to plug this tournament. It is a factory for NBA talent. Shout out to the City Palms Classic if you're ever in Southwest Florida, Fort Myers. It did December. It's the best high school.
I love it. First of all, I love a logo like that. It's always so fun, always great to support. But I also think back of, it's the youth, the next whatever, it's the LeBrons, the Stephs. Like, this is what we're seeing now, and I think that's what makes the NBA so special. When so many people complain about like how many games that they have, there's too many games. What's going to happen when LeBron retires, when Steph retires? You got these guys, you got the potential of like greatness. We're witnessing a lot of these games, also coast to coast, NBA on NBC. Let's plug it in. Let's plug it in.
Listen, if you work late nights like we do, and you come home from work and it's midnight, guess what you can catch?
Some
NBA
basketball
action, some West Coast action. That's why I love the NBA. You get to catch late night hoops. It's the best.
I hit my mic by mistake, but all good.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back.
But I do want to talk about the Irish goodbye because my parents would never let me. Like, I gotta say, like, growing up in a Hispanic household, you say hello to everybody, and then you say goodbye to everybody. But then when I got older with my sisters, who were about 10 years older than I am, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna collectively wave to everybody when we get there and wave goodbye. We don't even go to the cheeks and hugs." So the cheeks and hugs, the kisses on the cheeks,
the Miami high goodbye,
but you can't do that.
I did do that.
But I guess for a holiday party you can. But we had a good time thanks to our great company.
We had a great time. It was a great holiday party.
Our GM, our HR department, they did a great job of letting us celebrate the holidays. Yes. All of us work really hard here. Yes. Great food,
Yeah.
Get to get let loose a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, a little bit. I love my coworkers, but I just love the NBA. Just a little bit more.
Well, I don't think you can dance.
What do you mean you don't think I can dance? I can dance. Listen, I grew up in a Hispanic household. I can definitely dance.
That's gonna be a story or a video for another day.
Listen, Hispanic households are up right now because we have a Cuban American Heisman Trophy winner.
Adelante, adelante. Adelante. Fernando Mendoza became the first Miami native and Cuban American to win
the Heisman Trophy. Heisman Mendoza, as they're saying.
Which Mendoza Mania at Christopher Columbus High School. I mean, Felipe, first of all, when he won the championship or the conference championship,
Mhm.
that speech alone was so like, I don't know if it touched, like it made
It
me
was
emotional.
amazing.
I know it was amazing. There was memes out of it, but like to show that vulnerability, to show those emotions,
Yeah.
I think it's so special and so surreal. But then that Heisman speech with his family there, him going back to his Cuban roots, like
It was beautiful.
it was beautiful. I think every
yeah.
single, I mean, we saw his body of work, what he did with the Indiana program, being there with his brother, undefeated for the first time in program history. And you know what's crazy about all of this? They're still competing for a natty.
Oh yeah, they haven't lost a game. They're the best team in the nation right now. They are the number 1 team in the country. Indiana Hoosiers. Like, what alternate dimension are we living in where the Indiana Hoosiers going into the college football playoffs are the best team in the nation? It is unbelievable, and I think that to lead that is worthy of a Heisman, because that's, I mean, if you know anything about college football, is that Indiana has been horrible.
I think the last time they won a conference champion was like 1960s, way before our time.
Right, way before our time.
But you know what? Congrats to Fernando. I know you wanted to give a little shout.
Yes. And
you have a funny story.
I do have a funny story because I also come from a Cuban American household. Both of my grandparents are Cuban, similar to Fernando. And
Español.
Of course, my very Cuban grandmother was so emotionally touched by his speech and how he thanked his abuelita and his abuelo that she told me, this woman is a diehard Miami Hurricanes fan. She said, if the Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers play in the college football final, I'm going for the Hoosiers. And me and my grandfather eviscerated this woman. I told my grandfather, I'm like, listen, 60,
we gotta go,
like,
Grandma.
Listen, 60, I'm like, listen, 60 years with this woman was good, but you need to cut her off. I mean, that's it.
I mean, football can have houses divided.
Unbelievable.
Look, I mean,
no, you can't do that. Fernando, shout out to you, but no.
Shout out to Fernando.
We're going for the Canes here if we're playing Indiana.
Just
sorry.
From
not sorry.
No stars, right? Or like 2 stars to
Yeah.
then getting a chance at Cal. Or putting in the work at Columbus, getting a chance at Cal, getting that start like at Indiana. I mean, it's an incredible story. It's what college football is all about. You know, everything he's dealing with his family, with his mom, you know, dealing with multiple sclerosis. They were doing Mendoza Mania at Christopher Columbus, trying to raise money for just all of it embodies exactly what it is to be a Heisman winner. You know, it's the most prestigious award in college football. And the best part, Felipe, what I loved is that he always acknowledged his teammates too, that it was like, besides his family, which we know how special, that was his why. His mom was his why, alongside he has 2 brothers and his dad there. His grandparents were there, but his teammates too, who paid their way to New York City, there to support him, saying, this is for us. And now they get to celebrate together. That Heisman trophy is probably already in the locker room, probably already got pumped up, but they got bigger things to do. And you know who else has bigger things to do? It is game week, because the Hoosiers have a little bit of time.
When do you fly out?
I fly out Friday. The Canes. That's it. We finally get to hear from the players, but that's it. It is officially game week. And we're not even going to break this down, because we're going to do another episode, I think, after all this is, you know, hopefully the Canes leave Texas A&M. But Mario Crispo said, look, they're ready to put the work. They're ready to go. They practice with everything, Felipe. We talked about the Aggies 12th man. We talked about the importance of the experience of Carson Beck. We talked about what Malachi Toney means, which was crazy, because then Shannon Dawson goes, we already knew the potential of Malachi from day one. And then they had to remember that he wasn't even 18 at the time when he started the season, which is so wild. But then they were creating plays for him, and he was able to do, and whatever he was practicing or creating in practice was actually able to translate to a game. And that's what we've seen. We've seen the Mally Cat, you know, we've seen different, you know, little schemes that the Canes have done with him, but they have weapons. I think they're going to activate the run game. I think it's going to be loud. I think it's going to be tough, but I don't know. I see the Canes with the edge. I just think experience end up going a long way. And they said, Carson Beck, this is it. This is the moment. This is what you came for. This is what you play for. And hopefully a win, and they continue their quest.
Well, he's also, Carson Beck, playing for potentially a higher spot in the NFL draft as well.
You're playing for your future.
Think about it. Again, I referenced in the last episode the similarities that this kind of has to March Madness. You know, it's a college tournament. But think about how many players in March Madness played so well in March Madness that they rose their draft. What's the word? Draft stock. There you go. They rose their draft stock through the tournament. Yeah, thank you. That's my partner right there.
There we go.
But yes, Carson Beck legitimately has an opportunity to severely rise his draft stock with this tournament. And if he leads the Canes even to the finals, I think that he could be like a top 5 pick.
But when you think of this, and when we think about, we watched all these games, mistakes have to be at the minimum, because you've seen those high interception games, games the games that they lost, like moments like that. cannot happen because in the end, both teams are playing for something. You get healthy, you do it, you prepare for it all. We'll continue to break this down throughout the week because we'll be out there. But
that's why we love it.
That's why we love
legacy defining moments.
Legacy defining moments. And you know who had a legacy defining moment? Or I guess like continuing to establish that they are the ones to dominate the Tampa Bay Lightning? Florida Panthers.
Oh, yeah, they own.
On the road, they won 5-2.
They own the state of Florida still.
And Brad Marchand, age is just a number. Another goal,
It's
19th
insane.
of the season.
It's crazy.
But the Cats, you know, I don't know if you got to watch the Avalanche game, but that was bad. But then they bounce back against the Stars, and now you're facing your in-state rival, the Lightning. And then you kind of go back to like, there's still plenty of time. I feel like there's always like a panic in all of this. Will the Cats get healthy? Like, look, they're waiting for Matthew Tkachuk to get back. They got E2 back. Like, just different little things that will help this team continue to push when it matters the most in that playoff hunt, playoff time, the madness of it all. I'm still looking forward to the Winter Classic on January 2nd. You know, that's going to be a good time. There's still plenty of games, but like, where are they? Where are they right now in the standings?
So the Panthers are 17-13, but I wanted to ask you, you know, with the injuries that we know that the Panthers have sustained. You know, going into the season, if I told you that at this point they would be 17-13, would you be satisfied?
With the amount, yes, because
you don't have Kachuk and you don't have Barkov. And
right.
You're 17-13.
But you were also down your defenseman. There's a couple guys that are out with like different things that eventually will come back, I believe. But yeah, I think so, because I think in the end, like when we think of these playoff pushes, a lot of it was towards the end of the season when they got these guys back, when they got, you know, Matthew Tkachuk, who was hurt, then he came for the playoffs. Like, it is what it is.
They didn't have home ice.
It's never going to be pretty, and we know how tough the Eastern Conference is.
Absolutely.
But whatever, Cats got to win. I think that's a good way. I think that's a good way to start to end this, because the way we began, it was rough.
Yeah.
But it's a big week, right?
Oh yeah, a huge week. Oh my gosh, the first college football playoff game in the history of the Miami Hurricanes.
I wish we could have done that in unison. That's we're getting there, where we could do that in unison.
We're getting there. We're almost
college football playoff. Look, we got to spit out the facts. Dolphins
stank.
Eliminated.
They're gone.
Done.
Yeah.
But still 3 weeks left. Play for pride, play for bonuses.
Yeah.
The Heat got to get it together.
I got my eyes on you, Miami Heat. Come on.
Got eyes on you. Canes getting ready for their matchup against the Aggies on Saturday.
They're going to win.
Panthers win. Overall, we got it.
Yeah.
This is we're rolling with this.
Listen,
subscribe.
We're gonna record a very happy episode next week when the Hurricanes win. I'm telling you, they're going.
We're gonna be
to
decked
win.
out. We're gonna be decked out. We are manifesting. We're putting it all out there. We're putting that energy out there. And this Canes team, I heard it from Mario Cristobal. They're ready to roll, and we're ready to roll with you. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Game. I'm Giselle Espinales.
I'm Felipe Alvarez.
He's going to be much quicker with that.
Oh, okay.
Another episode coming through next week, and hopefully with a big win as the Canes continue their quest for a national championship. Woo, I got chills. What about you, Felipe?
Oh, I'm so ready. I am juiced.
We are juiced. We are ready.
Come on now.
See you next week.
Dale.